Hi, my name is Kristy Cartee. I am the co-host. Today I have Michael Banovac with me, and we are talking about personal brand expansion. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good. How are you, Kristy?
I am amazing. Thank you so much. Today we wanted to talk about everything brand expansion related. Personal brand is so important. I don't know if you'd like to go first and kind of share how personal brand has really influenced you and your business, or I can share my story.
Yeah, I'll take it. Personal brand is probably the most important thing in business, only because if people don't know you, they won't flow you. That's big Grant Cardone 101 right there. But the truth is, the dynamics of your brand is an extension of your personality. And so what's really important, I think, for real estate agents, entrepreneurs, young people in their 30s like ourselves, or people of any age for that matter, you cannot be afraid to self-promote. You cannot be afraid to be more of yourself and to have more eyes on you constantly as you grow your message and as you grow your brand. You have to play at a larger level. And the only way to play at a larger level is to collaborate, do these Zooms, do these YouTubes, and do these things to help a lot of people get eyes on the prize, which I think is success and business acumen for all of us.
Absolutely. You summed that up so good. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from just what you said is you can't be afraid. If you are afraid, there is some inner work that you definitely need to do, because with personal brand comes a lot of confidence. So oftentimes when I have conversations with real estate agents, there's confidence that really plays in this. So if you don't have that confidence just in general, put all business aside,
Yeah.
you're going to have trouble with your personal brand. And truthfully, a lot of these conversations that I do have on a daily basis, we begin to uncover that your personal life, your business life. And I know that you and I have had these conversations that all bleed in together. So, when thinking of your personal brand, you might have to do some personal growth movement to kind of get yourself in a position to even consider doing personal brand.
A lot of people, I think, struggle, especially entrepreneurs, with mental health. And it starts with the mind. It starts with your routines. It starts with your daily deposits that you and I talk about all the time. And if your health isn't in play, really anything doesn't matter, because unfortunately, if you have a sore throat, you're not thinking about your bank account, you're thinking about your health, right? So I think so many people struggle with mental health. So many entrepreneurs, especially in our space, when it comes to the mortgage and the real estate industries, are experiencing a tightening in the economy that they haven't seen in the last 7 or 8 years. There's a lot more stressors that I think if we allow to enter our space, a lot more rhetoric that puts a lot of people in tough mental positions. But those that succeed have really good basics, right? They go through checks. Like I was talking to a gentleman today who was a fighter pilot, and he was talking about, when we have an emergency in an airplane, we go through a checklist, right? And that checklist makes us aware and not afraid of what's going to happen next, because we know if this happens, this is what we do. And I think a lot of people in their lives don't have a checklist in place. They don't have an accountant of, so to speak, of their lives, of what do I do when shit hits the fan? Because eventually it will, not only in our monetary lives or our business lives, but also in our personal lives. And how do you cope with that when you're on your knees? Because that will happen to all of us. And it's how we deal with it that I think gets us to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up such a great point. Having that checklist is important. I think that oftentimes I have a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, you're such a happy person. You're so cheery," and yes, I work really hard to be that way. But in all truthfulness, I wake up with the same struggles as everybody else, and I just have a coping mechanism, like you shared, a checklist, something that says, okay, you know what? These are the things I need to do in order to have that successful client conversation, to have that successful video, content creation. And you really need to put yourself in check, because, nobody wants that conversation to feel like, oh my gosh, you are having a bad day, or they totally wanted to get off the phone with me. So that is really important and part of your brand expansion. When we talk about that, there is so many layers. It's like, we can have an umbrella that says personal brand expansion. And then, under that, we've already talked about self-care. We've talked about, what actual personal brand is, but there's so many other things, below there that really encompass that. So it's hard. Your part of your brand is how you show up and how you make people feel,
Yep. Yeah, Maya Angelou, that's her best quote is, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you say. What matters is how you make people feel and how people take away from that experience. And life, and more importantly, we're talking about real estate and entrepreneurship. The most important real estate is right here. And with so many people is they allow that mental health to become negative. And once you have a negative thought, that permeates in every aspect of your body. Because you and I, we read energy. And, you have such a cheerful, energetic personality because I know you through business and I know you as being a student, because you understand, like, I want to get to the next level. I want to have an energy transfer. I want to be successful. I want to be around other successful people. That's where you and I have that symbiotic relationship, because energy begets energy. And what problem is when you take, this is what I really believe when it comes to personal branding. So many people are looking to make the sale. When in reality, if you look at the most expensive brands, the best people when it comes to salesmanship, it has less to do with me convincing you to buy what I have. It has more to do with me educating you at the highest possible level of why implementing this system or buying this item will change your life in an emotional, mental, and physical way that will better your life. And in doing so, the rest will come, right? The money will come, the experience will come, the outcome will come. And so many people fail to realize when you take the result out of the equation and you lead with education and the betterment of the client for whatever that is, you're going to get what you want in the end, just over time.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I think that can go into maybe the next pillar that we talk about, which is storytelling. A lot of those commercials, there's some really good ones, and it gives you a feeling. So your personal brand, that's part of it, creating your story. And I think, Michael, you and I have done some inner work with that with me, and I'm still developing that. And it's a very vulnerable thing. So you need to identify, what it is that you do want to share with your story, but it is an important element in your personal brand because there's an emotional appeal to personal brand.
Well, I think what's interesting is you have three groups of people in life. And when you really put yourself out there, you have the people that like you for who you are. You have the people that really don't know who you are. They're on the fence. And those are the people you want to convert to the like category. And then there's the people that just don't like you. They don't resonate with what it is that you like and what you're trying to teach. And that's okay too. But the most paralyzing thing that people have is as you achieve more and more and more and more success, whatever strata you're on, you have envy creep in those people that want to become you or that want to learn from you. And they're either too embarrassed or they're too afraid to ask you, instead of being my competition or putting me down, how do we collaborate and learn? And I think that's a really big thing, because when you look at it, everyone feels jealousy at some point. Everyone, if you really are honest with yourself, looks at someone else and like, how the hell did they achieve that? Like, it doesn't even make any sense, right? I'm guilty, you're guilty, we're all guilty. But instead of looking them as, oh, they got lucky or they don't deserve this, whatever, you look at it and you're like, well, it doesn't matter. This is the end state. They're here, I'm not here. How do I learn from what they did? Is it duplicatable? And how can I take that end result that they have, plug it into my life, and get that same result? Because that's really the golden sauce, so to speak, of life. Because so many people have these knowledge tidbits, and all it takes is a few, plug and play into your life, and boom, you have success.
Yeah, it's essentially, and just, if you are watching this conversation right now, it's not necessarily reinventing the wheel.
Right.
It's, aligning yourself with people that make sense and that are, that might have knowledge in areas that you don't. And like Michael said, plugging just a few in, and it can make a huge difference in your life and in your brand. Reinventing the wheel, I think, is something also when we talk about personal brand expansion. Yes, it is identifying you and your personal brand, but the strategy behind it as well is just plugging in certain things that just work. That strategy, has proven it to work, but coming up with, your message and really what you want to be known for. And I think that that's a hard thing. When I have conversations with real estate agents, it's hard because they're like, I'm so good in person, but how do I expand that to this network, right? We have the ability, and with technology, it's just going to continue to further us and allow us to reach so much farther than our hands. So how do we communicate, and how do we really make somebody truly feel like they know us without meeting us in person?
I think the best way to do that, to answer that statement that you so eloquently said, is consistency beats genius.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you are, whatever it is that you're trying to educate people on, whatever it is that you're trying to help people with, do it consistently. Because whether you get to the end result that you desire, people always respect people that do what they say they're going to do, and people that incrementally grow and move up the ladder. Because we all want that, right? I mean, you look at fitness goals. How many people say, oh, I'm going to work out the first of the year? 99% of people, right? Gym memberships spike in January 1. And then by the 21st, oh, it all goes down, right?
Right.
But how many people stick to it? The only way you can do it is with the help of others and a community, and those saying, hey, good job, keep it up, you're doing great, good job. And it only takes one. And what's so interesting, this is interesting about growing your business, right? So many people are in the wrong vehicle. You know, real estate, when people hear real estate, they're like, oh, it's the most amazing wealth generation vehicle there is. It is, but not in the entry level that so many agents and or mortgage brokers or people that are doing, you know, B2C consumer relations are doing. Because as one person, there really is a cap to how much one person can output and make. And really that cap is probably around $250,000 a year. I mean, you could be working your ass off by yourself with no help, and the most you're going to make is about $250,000 a year in the real estate industry. And that's someone that really works hard, that puts their head down and grinds it out. But you look at people that make 7 figures, 8 figures, that have massive net worths, real estate holdings, equity holdings, etc. And what they're doing, and this is an important, I think, part for listeners to understand, is they're taking, which you and I talk about all the time, they're taking that earned income that they're really working hard for, and they're putting it into vehicles that multiply and expand. And so in business, doesn't matter what business you're in, your whole growth is to go wide and go deep. And the only way you go wide is through more people. How do you get in front of more eyes? How do you have more partners? How do you have more teammates? How do you have more people disseminating the same message or the service that you're selling, that you're profiting from? That's the only way you make a lot. And then when you go deep, that's how you really start making and generating those profits. Because what happens is, in the growth phase, and we talk about wealth accumulation a lot, you're investing in real estate, right? You're trying to grow your earned income. But what happens is, once you get down that line, now you're in preservation mode. And once you have a couple $1 million or more in net worth, now you're going wide as opposed to going deep, and you're preserving and growing your income in different sectors. That's why you look at like Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank guy, he only has 5% of his net worth in a bunch of different companies and a bunch of different sectors. So if something like '08 happens again, he has a much less exposure to downturn than many other people. And that's something that you start to realize when you have a lot of money. Like, you know, when you and I talk to one another, real estate is the best growth, asset to actually grow money, leverage it, and create passive income, and the best taxable asset there is out there. But the truth is, as we're starting to see now in the last 60 or 70 days, real estate is also not necessarily the best when you have a market downturn and people have reduced borrowing power. Rents go up, values come down. Now you have an asset that's worth a lot of money, but it's stuck because now you can't sell it as easily as you once could, as interest rates were lower. So it's very interesting to see how that plays out in the market today.
Like, you nailed it with the wide and deep. I'm still just, that really resonated with me a lot, because it's actually, you have to do both. It's not just one or the other. So oftentimes I see a lot that people have the wide part, which is the network, but they're not going deep, meaning they don't have that content creation that they're spilling out into. So they have this whole, great network, but the network isn't benefiting from them because they don't have that message, that personal brand, right? That relationship building. And so it's just stagnant. Their network, you're doing your network a as a service essentially, because you're not putting anything out there. And then when we talk about deep, then that's really when you go into the content creation, the messaging, and the personal brand. And you really have to have both. So if you don't have the wide, which is the network, which I oftentimes have lots of conversations where they say, I just moved here, or I don't really have that network. And that's where then you need to begin shaking hands, making friends, doing all those kind of things to grow that network, and then create your message too. But they are completely doable. I can absolutely share my story about personal brand and how it has completely influenced me and my business. I probably like maybe 12 years ago when I was a contestant for Miss Arizona. So I had the opportunity to really understand what personal branding was and the impact of it, because part of the system for the Miss USA Arizona was truly creating a personal brand for yourself. And so I really went so deep into that and really realized and understood what personal brand was and why it was important. So, I had to create sponsorships, and my brand needed to be in alignment with who I was, so that my sponsors were in alignment with me, because I was working with a fitness instructor, somebody to help me get in shape for it, right? And then, creating for the fashionable items, everything, the mannerisms, all of those things. If I were to put something out there that wasn't my personal brand, like anybody could probably want to sponsor me, but I was really looking for those true people that really saw who I was, so that I could do the best that I could in that. As far as my business is concerned, ever since, so I've been in the corporate industry for most of my career. I was in finance before, and I'm in the mortgage space now. And I've always, I feel like I've been a catalyst in my position, because I've always taken my position. I've always used personal brand to relate and create relationships that turn into sales. And I think a lot of people for a long time, and maybe I just wasn't in the right circles, but people kind of look at you and don't understand what you're doing. And, they might think you're trying to do something else, and it's really not. I always say that whether you are a business owner or you work for a company, it doesn't matter what you do. You could be a mom staying at home. Personal brand is something that everybody should have. It's not just for those entrepreneurs. It can be for people who are employed with a company. What served me so well is that it's allowed me to, connect with people on that relationship basis. And like Michael said earlier, if you missed it, was that, I'm not throwing down any products or services to these people. They're getting to know me first, and they're liking me. They like my energy, and I am adding value. Then the next conversation that I don't even bring up is, well, okay, I need you to help me with this.
It was very interesting. I was having a conversation with an entrepreneur the other day, and the question came up, like, if I had to make $1 million in 1 year, how would you do it? And I'm like, that's an interesting question. And the first thing that he said, which I totally agreed with, is you have to become a high-priced salesperson, meaning you're selling high-ticket items. One of the most difficult jobs there is, but it's also the most lucrative. And the second thing he said is, whether that's solar, real estate, you must learn how to sell yourself, sell your product, sell your offering.
Yes.
The second thing is, once you learn how to sell, he said, if you want to get to that $1 million, you have to live on about 20 to 25% of your earned income. And that other 75% of your earned income needs to go into different sectors that earn you equity and that earn you generated and continued passive income for the rest of your life. And the only two ways, and I'll stress this for the audience, that you can make big money is real estate investment that pays you every single month, that's leveraged safely, and two, to buy equity in companies where you have ownership in companies that pay you part of the ownership of those companies. Those are the wealthiest people on the planet. Wow. You can look at any of them. Those are the two sectors they make the most money, period.
I completely agree. That is such a, that's a really good statement. I think sometimes the best statements are the simplest, where it's not, there's no, some people think it's so complicated. It's just surround yourself around conversations that make sense, that people are doing better than you, and really that are in alignment with what you're talking about. And when we talk about having multiple buckets of income, I'm definitely somebody that we've had a lot of conversations. Everybody should be doing it. And a lot of people are just kind of still one track minded. So figure out ways that you can have those multiple buckets and I think just think and dream bigger with the goals that you want
and collaborate often.
Yeah.
The hardest things are partnerships, but the easiest things are collaborations. And if you really want to get big, you want to grow your social media presence. I mean, so many people ask me, how do you get Instagram followers? How do you do this? How do you do it? It's real simple. Organic plus paid. It's that simple. Organic plus paid. Everything you do needs to be consistent.
Yep.
You need to put money to it because you got to put skin in the game. And thirdly, you have to create organic relationships and collaborations with people that are entertaining and educating. Those are the two things. Yes. If you're entertained and educated, you're gonna watch it and absorb the content.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Michael, you and I we have that similar interest in just intuitive understanding about collaboration.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people hide or they're scared of collaborating. They're doing a disservice to share with everyone this is the success that lies within their business because they're so afraid that they're going to steal it. But there's on the flip side of it, I see it so differently. What do you think?
Oh, well, first of all, anyone that tells you making money and being successful is easy is totally full of BS because it is not. And what happens is as you start to make more money, you have lifestyle creep that really starts to enter your mind and you start becoming friends with people you didn't have access to before. So it's really interesting. Like I was at a high-end watch auction yesterday, and there were watches being sold for $70,000, $90,000, $100,000 for a timepiece. I mean, it's crazy. And I thought, owning a $20,000 watch, which I own a lot of them, was a big deal. And then I look at people that own $2 or $3 million worth of these watches, and you start to realize there are a lot of wealthy people out there. How did they make their money? Real estate and equity. And everyone across the board, I've learned it's through equity in business or through real estate investment. And I agree with you because the truth is the more that you share, the more that you educate, the more that you collaborate, you're really creating a lot of synergy with people and you're creating a lot of goodwill and a paying it forward attitude. Because the truth is anyone can do what I've done. They can do what you've done, but a lot of people won't. And the reason they won't is because it's not easy. It's hard. And they don't want to put in the initial hard work to get to the pleasurable spot. It's funny. I was on a podcast. Everyone was asking me like, so how do you get to success in business? And I said, here's the problem, especially with brand creation and marketing that we're talking about today. Your personal brand awareness is an idea. That idea you're going to throw out into the world. And initially, 70% of those people that you throw it out to that are outside your family, your friends, and your initial fear is going to go WTF. They're going to say, oh, I hate this. Boo, you suck. Who are you? Blah, 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 blah. 90% of people fail at that very moment because what happens is they tell their great idea to 20 people and 18 of those people go, oh, that sucks. It's a terrible idea. And you think, oh God, I'm a failure. I'm a loser. Try telling that idea to 200 people, 2,000 people, 20,000 people, 200,000 people. The metrics start to change.
Absolutely.
And what you really start to realize is the no's that I collect get me closer to the yeses and those people that want that offering that I'm giving. And this is what I think is really important for our audience. The more people I talk to, the more I get rejected. The more I get, oh, you're a loser, you're this, you're that. And about 50 people in, I contact minimum 50 people a day, 50 people through email, through text message, or through a phone call variation. And of those 50, it's the same metrics every day. So I just want to let anyone in sales know this. Same metrics. 30 of them hate it. 15 of it really are kind of like, I don't know, maybe. And there's 5 that love it. They want it. They just can't. And then of those 5, you can convert 1 to 2. Now think of your business and you're a high ticket sales or you're a salesperson. If you could convert 1 to 2 people every single day, 365 days a year, you're going to be a very successful person. But what people don't realize is to get those 1 or 2 people a day, you're getting told no to by 20, 30, 40,000 people. So just keep that in mind as you're growing your personal brand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And those are some really great numbers. So for anyone that isn't doing that, I think that is a great, number to obviously live up to, having at least 50 conversations a day. It takes about that. And also, like you said, being, okay with no. I think a lot of times when it comes to sales, that people are so frightened about it because they're afraid of hearing no. And I think it was a post that you did
Yep.
as of recent that talked about this, and it resonated so much with me, because you have two options. When someone says no, you can either feel defeated or it can motivate you. And for me, I've had a lot of challenges in my life. Things have not come easy for me, so I always just expect to hear no and pleasantly surprised to hear yes. And I kind of have created that tough skin. It's okay. It's not for everyone, and no's are part of, the successes to get to the yeses. I think that's what people really hide behind a lot, because they're afraid of the no. And then they might, give up really quickly. But like you said, take Michael for an example. He's saying that the majority of those 50 are no's, and some of them are yes, and only a couple are yeah. But those couple, it can really fill your cup, and it not only fill your cup, but it can fill your bank account. And you really need to be having conversations, and those conversations tie into the why. Right. So cast that wide net. I've always talked about that oftentimes people can sometimes look at me and say, well, why don't you just focus on a couple people, where I'm like always trying to cast a wide net, because timing is everything. Sometimes your net won't be a yes in this time frame of a net, but maybe 3-4 times down, they're a no now, but they're a yes later.
That's right.
So,
and a great book that Grant wrote, the 10X rule, is really fascinating in the fact that whatever you think you want to accomplish, it's going to take 10 times the amount of action. Wow. So regardless, let's say you want to convert, you're in real estate sales, or you're in mortgage sales, right? You're trying to get those mortgages. You're trying to get real estate sales. So many realtors fail because as soon as they hear no, they get paralyzed. And believe me, I hear no all the time, and I still am like, shit, I heard another no. Boy, that's really doesn't matter how successful you are, because they don't know on the other end.
It happens.
Yeah, they don't know, oh, I have all these assets. They don't know I have all these. They don't know anything. And that's cool. I don't want them to know. But what really is interesting is no matter how much grit you have, how much psyche and personal buildup you have, once you hear your no, your cup starts to come down. And you start to question yourself. And as soon as you're at your wit's end, boom, you get a yes. And that yes turns into an amazing conversation. And that amazing conversation turns into, a close or something like that. And then you're on a high again. You're like, oh my goodness, this works. Back to the routine. No. Yes. Oh, thank goodness. And that's life. That's life. It's the same in relationships. It's the same in business. It's the same in every aspect of our lives. And as soon as you be comfortable with that word no, and it just, goes off your shoulders like water off a duck's back, you're going to be way more successful.
Right. So actually that kind of made me think of something. So while you're on your high and you're having that good day, you did hit a yes, Michael, what can you share I want to talk a little bit about like ego and keeping yourself in check and still feeling like still being very humble, right? Yeah. So share with me, have you had any experiences where you see that people can, get on that high frame and then get kind of that ego going, and then it kind of changes things for their business?
Yeah. Well, the real interesting thing is no one is immune and no one is immortal. And in business, I don't care how iron tight your business is, how much money you've made in the past. Past success is not an indicator of future success.
Yes, absolutely.
And any business person will tell you, you have to be humble, but more importantly, you just have to be aware. And if you really look at worst case scenarios, but you're cautiously optimistic at all times, and you exude a very positive outlook, that's one thing that you have in spades, Kristy, is you really have to have positive energy. I've seen some of the most successful entrepreneurs, and no matter how dark the storm is ahead, they're like, it's going to be okay. We're really going to come out of this. It's going to be amazing. Even if the storm clouds are right above the horizon, they'll figure it out. And It's that calm in the storm. It's that certainty. It's, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
That's what people pay for. They pay for certainty. And when you're calm, when everyone else is losing their cool, and you stick to the plan, you stick to your, you stick to who you are as an individual, you stick to your brand awareness, and you just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. It's boring. And then you wake up. And what's fascinating is you wake up and you've accomplished so much that so many people wish they accomplished. And here's the secret. You feel like you haven't accomplished anything at all. And, I'm building a $2.5 million house right now. And I'm like, God, this is really depressing. Like, I really should be building this type of house or this, like, I can't afford it. I can't do this, all this negative talk. And I'm thinking, how many people who are 33 years old could afford to build a $2.5 million house? Right. And you think like that, you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm not such a loser after all. So those thoughts never go away. It doesn't matter where you are in the totem pole, right? Bill Gates had a great quote. Life isn't fair. There's always someone better looking than you. There's always someone younger than you. There's always someone richer than you. And there's always someone with a better idea than you right around the corner. So as soon as you realize that in your life, and you just focus on you focus on what makes you happy, you focus on your personal life, your friends, your family, and your loved ones, and you just keep putting out positive, good content, you're going to be successful. And I think you've done a great job of that.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel the same. And that actually probably leads me into what I did want to share with our audience is, if you haven't followed Michael or you're just following him, when he asked me to do this collab together, I was really reflecting on how Michael's personal brand has made me feel throughout the years and what I can, successfully say about him and everything like that. So, when I think about it, because I, never really have taken the time to really assess it and analyze it, is that, Michael doesn't share a lot of the same, just like, oh, I just closed this house, I just sold this house. It is so much different when you go on this journey of following Michael. It doesn't feel like he's selling anything, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because yes, he does. He knows how to sell that product and that service. But what I'm trying to say is he leads with this relation-based approach, these conversations, these collaboration topics that we're all thinking, that's all in our heads every single day. And so when I think about Michael, I think so much about, this is what comes to mind. Okay, so, he hasn't said, hey, if you need to buy or sell a house, contact me. He's never said that. But I think of Michael when I think of those things. Okay. What about, I'm an investor myself. I own real estate. So, he doesn't totally pitch that he can help, be a coach. Hey, if you want my coaching services, reach out to me. No, it's this finesse. It's a finesse. It's this really unique way. And it's simple, really. It's literally just relationship building and leading with that. And your messaging, it just comes across. I know what you do, right? And then you go deep, right? Because then you're so what do you do? The call to action. I'm like, okay, I like Michael, right? You always ask me, hey, how did you decide to want to work with me?
Right.
And I really liked what you were putting out there. I liked the way you made me feel. And I knew that aligning myself with you would be able to get me to that next level. So I picked up the phone and I called you. And then that's where we went deep. And hey, how can I work with you? How can these are some things that I need to do, for me, and what does that look like for you, and how can we do this together? So
I really appreciate those kind of words. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And the truth is, for you too, we've known each other now for several years, and I've seen you grow into a very great businesswoman and real estate entrepreneur. And the thing I think that's important for everyone to understand is we always have something to learn from each other. And everyone can be a coach. Everyone can be a source of information that in your mind seems so easy and so secondary, but to others, it's like, oh my God, you invented fire. Because the truth is,
you're right.
You may be so good at this one thing that no one knows anything about. And not only can you monetize it, but you can educate and help people with that gift. And, you're starting to do that partly in
Mhm.
your business. I've been doing it for several years.
Mhm.
And it's important for people to realize, stop absorbing a bunch of other people's information and start creating your own.
Yeah. Oh my
That's what I
gosh.
don't understand is so many people, oh, I'm going to go on here and, but they don't understand, like, you need to be on there creating
Yeah.
content, helping people,
Right.
showing people that you have value and educating them, because in the end, we all want to be educated. We don't
Yeah.
care about it. All we want to do is, we have a problem, we want to learn how to fix it. We have an issue, how did they deal with it? We want to be successful, how did they become successful? We're all selfish. And that's the interesting thing about capitalism in its finest moments. It works so well because it is millions of people working in their own self-interest, which creates a collective of selflessness, because in order to grow, we have to educate one another on growth. And I think that's an important thing that people don't do. They have all
Yeah.
these skills that they're not educating others on.
Well, and that's where I think people take it's the safe route. And that's where the self-confidence and vulnerability comes into play. I think that they feel like they're not worthy. And so you are worthy. You have something to share. It took me a really long time, just like Michael said, some of the most basic things that I don't even think, like, it just comes so second nature to me. Like, you would just assume, in a way, I think you assume that people just know that. And maybe they do, and it just resonated with them at that time, or they needed that reminder. Or, like Michael said, it's something you know a lot about that people don't know enough about. And so encouraging you to be that thought leader in your industry is huge. Absolutely, 100%. But it takes that confidence and it takes that level of vulnerability.
And it's interesting because, we look at really successful people like Elon Musk or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or whatever. We look at them as heroes. We look at athletes as heroes. But when you really look at it, anyone can be a hero, because the hero is the person that chooses to do something when failure is imminent. I'll say that again. A hero is a person that chooses to do something when failure is imminent, because it's that 350-pound guy or gal that's never lifted a weight ever, that decides to go into the gym and start working out. That's a hero. It's that person that is young, that doesn't have two nickels to rub together, that wants to be strong in business and that fails for the first time. That's a hero. It's these things where you realize, like, anyone can become their own hero and their own savior, but you got to take the first step. You have to be okay falling flat on your face. You have to be okay people laughing at you. You have to be okay with people telling you're a charlatan, you're a fake, you're this, you're that. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
I have heard it all. I've heard, oh, you were born into money. Dad. I've heard everything, Kristy.
Wow.
And what's interesting is, the more successful you become, the truth is, the more quiet people become.
Yeah.
But there's a brewing underneath it. There's less comments. There's less likes. There's less things there's less interaction, because they've already, like, okay, yeah, you're already successful. Stop telling me about what I haven't accomplished in my life. And it saddens me, because the people that still reach out to me religiously are always younger people, older people wanting to make a change, and those that are too afraid to just ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. We all need help. I need help. And I just wish there were more people out there that said, hey, I'm good at this. If you want help, collaborate with me. I'd be like, let's go. I'm ready.
Well, and that is a good point, and that is part of your brand. So I was on something the other week, and I shared that part of your brand voice is talking about, when you're available, how people can communicate with you, really setting that expectation. And so my thing is always, like, I'm always one phone call away, and, like, no question is silly. I was kind of the person in school that kind of had a hard time learning academically and had questions. And I always felt like, I know they say no question is stupid, but sometimes you feel that way. And I think we have to bring that back to even as adults, like, ask for help. I think people are hard, but put that in your branding. Let people know that, hey, sometimes you have to tell them what to do. Hey, if you need help, reach out to me. Because just assuming that without having that voice of your brand, people might not. I have noticed that when I have communicated that more in my brand, sharing with people I'm only one phone call away. Like, I'm old school. If you ever want to call me, I'm a total like call, I'm a phone person, but texting is totally an option, as well as email. That, I've slowly, my phone starts ringing and people take me up on that offer, and they do know that this is a safe zone to talk to me about anything that they want in their business, in their marketing strategy, and their branding and sales. So,
and time is a valuable commodity.
yes,
value
absolutely.
it. And so it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, no, I'm not really interested in doing that. No, I don't want to meet for coffee.
Yeah,
No, I don't want to meet for
absolutely.
lunch.
That's a great
No.
point.
And because the truth is this, everyone asks me, like, what type of agents do you attract? What type of clients do you attract? It's two sectors. My only requirement for people that I spend time with is positivity, because I'm an empath. I need to have positive people around me. If any negativity is around, I'm out. And two, conviction in yourself, the ability to want to succeed. Doesn't mean you have succeeded. You want to succeed and you want to learn. You want to do everything in your power to succeed. I'll spend time with those people. I mean, I got 2 or 3 people I'm going out with lunch that I don't really take lunches, but these are young 18, 19, 20-year-old guys and gals that are in the business that said, hey, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I do want to learn this. You know how to do it. Can I take you to lunch? And 9 times out of 10, I'll say no to that because it's a waste of time. But for those people that are persistent, that are kind, that are complimentary, that really have that grit to want to go out there, I'll do it. Because that's a good value of time,
Yeah,
right?
right?
That's what we are as human beings, here to help educate and empower other people.
I love it.
Yeah. So how do you want to end it, Kristy? Any tidbits you want to give them before we go?
I would I honestly, I think so just end it with, just bet on yourself and personal brand. It's you. It's never going to go away. And people, I think, just get deterred on all these other shiny objects. They're going to say, I'm going to go invest in this platform, and it has nothing to do with them, or they're hiding behind the screen. And I just think that the sooner that you realize that you are your brand, the more, success that you're going to see.
Yeah, I heard an interesting quote the other day. Success is having 900 doors in front of you and learning how to close 899 of them.
Wow.
And that's about what it is, because the truth is, you're going to go through these doors and you're going to go, I don't know if this is right. I don't know if this is the right vehicle. And you'll know rather quickly, especially if it goes against your guttural feeling and it's not getting you what it is that you want, right? The most important thing I would say is you have to find the right vehicle. And again, if the right vehicle for you is to make money, then you need to be in a real estate-based position, or you need to be in an equity-based position, period. If you're looking for fulfillment, what feeds your soul? What feeds your heart? What do you get up every day and you're like, I love doing this, whether I get paid or not. This is what I just love to do.
Yeah.
And if those 2 things are checked off your box and you go in and out of these doors constantly in your life, and you get to one and you're like, this is pretty cool. Let's go deeper. And that's the beauty of life, is there's no right answer. There's no script. The most successful people are the mavericks that tried something new, that did something different. And another quote I would say that I would resonate with people is, my dad told me this quote after he lost his fortune for the 3rd time, is he said, never, ever take your self-worth in concordance with your net worth. Doesn't matter how much you're worth. What matters is the life experiences that you had and how you touch people in a positive way. So if you continually go out and do that, you're going to be a success, regardless of what your bank account says.
I think that that's perfect. People, right? We're trying to make a business. We're trying to make money, and that's your net worth. But the self-worth is what a lot of people don't talk about. And that's just as important, if not more. And having those 2 together is just...
Well, and I'll save you the suspense too, because a lot of people, oh, what does it feel like to be a millionaire and all that stuff? Stressful, because now you have something to lose, and that's the thing, where happiness is not in things. It's not in expensive cars and watches and clothes. Those things bring you momentary dopamine hits.
Right.
And they're nice. They're niceties in life, trips, all those things, all the Instagram glitz and glamour. But the most important thing in life is people. And that's why stuff like this is so important, because you and I are going to get off this call. The watchers are going to get off this video. And you or I are going to feel so high because of the transfer of energy that we had off of one another.
Absolutely.
And helping ourselves and also helping the viewers. So that to me is the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, and just circling this last thing around is that, just only being that consumer of, right, your tech, if you're not actually being that thought leader, but you're just consuming all this energy and all these other people,
Yeah.
putting yourself back in that leadership position, it actually helps sharpen your knife. Like, the more that you do these collaboration, methods and stuff like that, the more you're actually going to be even in more tune with your personal brand expansion and be that much better, because you're right, it can get rusty too. We have to constantly be talking about this, and we're constantly learning new information, but also sharing it with people and executing on it. So thank you, Michael. This was so much fun. I feel like I have learned so much, and I hope you guys did too. So many good tidbits in this, so I'm just excited.
Well, I'm excited too, and I'm excited for you, and
Thank
going to
you.
continue to collaborate and do fun things. And if you
Absolutely.
guys haven't followed Kristy already, please do so, because she's
Absolutely.
moving up and she will continue to do so. And we're here to help you guys in any way we can. Reach out to either of us.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye.